Hi, my name's Andrew, and today I'm excited to tell you about the Condair HumiLife Whole Home Steam Humidifier. I thought I'd bring you to our manufacturing facility here in Ottawa, Canada. Just behind the camera is where we do the engineering and design, and around the corner is where we test this and all of our products to make sure they meet our expectations. Today we're going to focus on the Condair HumiLife Whole Home Steam Humidifier. This humidifier will help maintain the ideal relative humidity level in your home between 40 and 60%, which is so key for your health, wooden flooring, furniture, instruments, artwork. You get the idea. We'll open up a box here, and later we're going to visit a customer installation site. So let's open up a box and see what's inside. So the first thing you'll see is some accessories that are pretty important for the installation. Some steam hose, the drain line, some fill tubing, and a bag of parts which has some additional items. We include with every humidifier a relative humidity sensor, a steam distributor, and some other clamps and hardware that'll help with the installation. Last thing I want to point out are the manuals and documentation. Homeowner's manual, quick start guide for the installation, and a template which will come in handy when you're mounting the humidifier. And if you ever lose or misplace some of the manuals, which we know that happens, you can find them all online at www.condair.com/residential. Under the drop-down menu for solutions, click on Steam Humidifier, scroll all the way down, and you'll find all the documentation you need.
Well, now that we know what comes in the box, let's go check out an installation. Here we are in our customer's furnace room. Before we start, I'd like to introduce you to Don Desormeaux. He's an independent contractor who has tons of experience with our humidifiers. He's been installing them for years. He's going to help us get this unit installed. And a disclaimer, make sure you follow the local plumbing and electrical codes that apply to you. Now, the first thing we want to do is figure out where the humidifier should be located. Let's take a minute to describe how it works, which will give us some good insight to figure out where we should install it. The main purpose of the humidifier is to boil water, which happens inside the cylinder. The cylinder fills with water, which submerges two electrodes. The electrodes are powered and start warming the cylinder, eventually bringing the water to a boil. Once the cylinder starts boiling, the steam needs to get into the duct. There are two ways to make this happen: by mounting the humidifier directly onto the furnace or on a nearby wall. The product's lightweight design allows for mounting flexibility. In this case, a flexible steam line would be used to connect the humidifier with the distributor, which would be installed in the duct. All of those items are included in the box. In this case, we're going to put the humidifier directly onto the furnace. We have a water line nearby, a drain, and the steam distributor can be placed in the supply duct within 5 feet of the humidifier. If you're mounting it remotely, you'll want to make sure the screws are anchored to a sturdy surface, like a 2x4 or a piece of plywood. If you're mounting it to drywall, make sure you use anchors that'll support its weight. When full of water, the humidifier will weigh between 20 and 30 pounds. Since we're mounting it directly onto the furnace, let's continue that way. The first screw is near the top of the humidifier and has a keyhole cutout to make things easier. To access it from inside the humidifier, first open up the plumbing door. Note that you can remove this plumbing door and set it aside during the installation if you'd like. You'll need to remove the inner shell, which is done by releasing the tabs. Once the humidifier is hung on that first screw, use a level to straighten it out and use the second screw to complete this step. Installing the steam distributor is as easy as drilling 4 holes. Use the template that's included in the box. The distributor should be placed so that 2/3 of the duct is above the hole center line. Since steam rises, we want to make sure the steam doesn't contact the top of the duct. Like we say in the manual, the smallest duct height is 8 inches, so make sure your duct is that or more. Ideally, we can keep a slope of at least 15 degrees, which ensures any condensate that's formed in the steam line or the distributor flows back to the cylinder. If you aren't able to make that happen, you'll want to install a condensate line coming off of the steam line. Check out the manual for more details on that. Now that the humidifier and the steam distributor are installed, let's connect the two. If your installation is direct on the furnace, you can use the preformed hose section. You can alternatively use the flexible steam line that's included in the box. You may need to trim down the steam line depending on your installation. Some things to remember: we want to keep a slope of at least 15 degrees. We want the steam line to go up at least 6 inches as it exits the humidifier, and we don't want the steam line to kink. The bag of hardware includes some hose clamps. Use one on each end and tighten just enough to ensure a tight fit. You don't want to over tighten. If you have a torque wrench, 12 inch-pounds is the max we'd like to see here. Like I mentioned before, if you happen to have a low point in the steam line or can't meet the 15-degree slope requirement, cut the steam line and install a fitting to remove the condensate from the line. The condensate line will have hot water in it, so return the line back to the humidifier. The full instructions are in the manual. Included in the box is a bracket you can use to help support the steam line. If your humidifier and distributor are located farther away than the length of steam hose you have, you can use copper piping as the main steam line, and the flexible steam line can make your connections at the humidifier exit and at the steam distributor. Now the installation is starting to take shape. Let's keep going by installing the water line. Included in the box is a 20-foot water supply line. Connect it using a compression fitting similar to how you'd connect a water supply line going to a fridge or ice maker. Ideally, include a shutoff valve for when you need to service the humidifier. The water supply should be cold potable water at 30 to 80 psi. Don't use any ultra-purified water like reverse osmosis or RO. The humidifier works by using the minerals in the water. Normal city water is perfect. If you're on well water, make sure the water quality is in line with what we state in the manual. The key is making sure the conductivity is between 125 and 1250 microsiemens per centimeter. The supply tube is installed at the humidifier by simply pushing it into the fitting. Every now and then, the humidifier will drain water. We use algorithm-based drain intervals instead of a time drain to extend cylinder life, which lasts around once a season. This makes sure that the concentration of minerals in the cylinder is within the ideal range. Use the supplied drain and hose clamp and attach it to the drain outlet at the bottom of the humidifier. The water in this line may be quite warm. Keep a consistent downward slope and lead it to a floor drain. Now we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, so let's keep going. The humidifier should be wired to its own breaker on the panel. To make the connection at the humidifier, bring the wires to the humidifier from the bottom, using the strain relief closest to the power terminals on the control board, which are at the bottom of the control board. If you have a 110 to 120 volt supply, wire the hot wire to L1, the neutral to L2/N, and the ground to ground, labeled GND. If you have a 220 to 240 volt supply, the hot wires are wired to L1 and L2, and the ground to ground. Our unit accommodates all three power configurations. Only one SKU is needed. The last thing we need to do to finish the physical installation is wire up the controls. This is the topic that generates the most questions simply because there are so many different control devices out there. For this installation, we'll use the sensor that's included in the box. Wire it up by connecting the humidifier's 24 VDC terminal to the sensor's 24-volt terminal. Connect the ground terminals to each other and connect the H-out terminal from the sensor to the humidifier's HUM terminal. Another optional control device is an air proving switch. This safety device ensures that there's airflow in the duct when the humidifier is operating. We don't want steam in the duct unless there's airflow. To wire an air proving switch, use the two SC terminals on the humidifier's control board. Another way to accomplish this without the need of an air proving switch is to wire the humidifier to the furnace's control board. The GF terminal from the humidifier can be wired to the furnace's G terminal, and the RF terminal from the humidifier can be wired to the furnace's R terminal. This way, whenever there's a call for humidity, the humidifier will send a signal to the furnace to kick the fan on, which will give us airflow in the duct. If the fan's already on, it'll keep running like normal. The installation overall is pretty straightforward. As long as you follow the guidelines, it's easy. As I mentioned, we have security steps built in to eliminate problems, and the easy maintenance design allows you to enjoy all the benefits of maintaining RH between 40 and 60% to protect assets in the home and improve your health in the dry winter season.
That finishes the physical installation, but there's one last step we need to take care of before we can really dust our hands off and call it a day. Since this is a connected humidifier, we need to set it up on the home's Wi-Fi, same as any other smart home device. To do this, get your smartphone and download the Condair HumiLife app.
Condair HumiLife is the only humidifier to be directly connected to the web. What this means is our humidifier can do all kinds of things, including notifying the user when the cylinder needs to be changed, allowing the user to control the humidifier from the convenience of their smartphone, linking up to the outside temperature to dial back humidity when needed, which avoids installing additional equipment, and linking up to selected smart home thermostats. To get connected with your Condair HumiLife humidifier, start by downloading the Condair HumiLife app onto your smartphone. Turn on the humidifier by pressing and holding down on the power button for around 2 seconds. Open up the app and select Add Device. At this point, the app will guide you through the registration of your humidifier and get connected to the home's Wi-Fi.
As you can see, the water in the cylinder is boiling. Now, similar to a furnace filter, the cylinder is going to get dirty over time, and eventually you're going to have to change it out approximately once a year. Now, because you have a connected humidifier, the system is automatically going to tell you with a warning when it's soon time to change the cylinder, and with the fault when it's really time to change it out. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks again to Dawn for helping with the installation. If you still have questions or want to reach out to a humidification expert, you can contact us at 1-866-667-8321. You can also visit us online at www.condair.com/residential. Thanks again for watching.